time back, I just got this wonderful forward of how to get rid of Corona. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just share it with you. I've already shared it with Leon Rod,
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, I received that. I received that.
and
Super.
many people are worried about this Corona, now, but this is a 100% solution, and I'm going to share
Yeah.
with
Even
all of
I
you
got
that.
that. I'm just checking it right now.
But I told you to take it, no, Leon. I hope you have taken it.
Yeah. I've taken it. Sure, I've taken it. Yeah. Share
Okay,
it with everyone.
so eyes on the chat. Now, this is the perfect recipe for killing Corona. Okay, look at your chat boxes. So, boil
Yeah.
8 pods of garlic in water. Okay, ubalta pani, like boiling water. Then add a little ginger to it. Add a few tulsi leaves. Add a pinch of haldi, turmeric. Then add half an onion finely cut. A minimum of 8 chilies finely cut. Okay, boil it and drink it. Now this is the 100%
Super. The
solution.
best. It is the
And
best.
Father Leon Rodriguez has already taken it. So my dear
Yes.
friends, what I want to share with you at the very beginning is that please take this recipe and no Corona will
Yeah.
happen. 100%.
Yeah. But Father Bosco, I have
Yes.
something to say. These days, I'm hearing of so many 100% solutions. So technically, I think coronavirus should not have survived so many 100% solutions, right?
But
Ah.
this I got this as a forward. That's why I shared it with you. And in fact, I told Leon Rodriguez to have it.
Bosco, just wait a minute. I'll just come. I think I am feeling something. I think.
Oh shucks, I told him to have that solution. I hope you have got the message, or let's say the title of today's theme: spreading misinformation, spreading forwards, and all these things. No, media and communication. Hey, he's back. How should we use, let's say, media prudently? Father Leon Cruz, over to you.
So today, the main speaker for today we have is Father Peter Gonsalves. Father Peter is a Salesian priest. He's the founder of Tej Prasarni, which has produced, and he has produced lots of content in the field of communications. He has done his PhD in communications from the Salesian Pontifical University in Rome, and he was dean and in charge of the doctoral program of the Faculty of the Sciences of Communication in Rome. And in 2017, he was appointed as consultor to the Vatican Secretariat for Communications. So we have a person with experience and knowledge who is here to share about media. Father Peter, over to you.
Thank you so much, Leon, for inviting me. Thanks to the team that has created this beautiful occasion. Thank you also to this wonderful introduction. At the beginning, I was wondering what Bosco was about, but then I guessed as much. This is a very Salesian approach to bringing up a topic. Creating a little theater, a little drama, and all of us are already into the theme practically. So that's precisely the theme that we've got today, disinformation. I'm going to share with you something that I shared with the Federation of Catholic Bishops of East and South Asia recently. I've adapted it mainly for young people. So can we just get to the slides immediately? Disinformation in social media in the context of COVID-19. See, COVID-19 is a fact. It's strange that I'm putting this slide right out there. It's simply because there are still people who can't believe that this is really true. Some are saying it's a conspiracy by the pharmaceutical companies to gain more, etc., etc., etc. The problem is people are dying. There are so many cases. This is taken, by the way, on 14th November, the time when I prepared that conference, which is just last month. So many people are dying because of this. So it's a reality. So what do we learn from COVID during these months that have passed from March onwards? Just a common sense interpretation of facts would show that we are one world. We are all connected. It's so important to be connected and connected for good, And that's the important part. Physiologically, we are all equal and vulnerable. The rich, the poor. There is no caste distinction here for the virus, for example. There's no cultural discrimination for the virus. Anybody can get the virus. So it doesn't matter who we are, where we are, how we are, what blood group we are all equal before the virus. We had taken normal lives for granted up till 2019. Even breathing fresh air was taken for granted. Staying together, hugging each other was all taken for granted. But we realize how important those things are because we are missing that now. Masks and social distancing do work. This is scientifically proved. Much of the stuff that I have here is taken from WHO, the World Health Organization. It's proved that masks are working. Social distancing is working. And why? They prevent droplets, especially when we speak. There are droplets that could contain the virus, and therefore it can contaminate others. Disinformation on COVID is at its peak. Never in the history of humanity has there been so much of disinformation across the world. This is all because we are technologically very advanced in the way we are sharing news through social media. So here are some clarification of terms. Misinformation is not disinformation. Misinformation is incorrect information. Fake news is disinformation, which is basically a deliberate misleading information spread to others, to deceive others. We pass on rumors at tables sometimes, gossip. What is this? This is really not neither misinformation, neither disinformation. They are just kind of truths or half-truths, sometimes much of the time to tell people how important we are because we get all the stories. We have to be a little careful about that anyway. But what's coming up now, for especially the young generation to take note of already today, is deep fakes. Tomorrow, a truth will never be able to be proved because even people's videos are being manipulated. Previously, they said the photograph never lies. Then Photoshop came in. Now we have deep fakes which are touching up videos. People speaking, not the words that they had said, but words put into their mouth, but so perfectly synchronized with the lip sync, etc. You can search the internet for examples. Just look at the statistics here. On March alone, 1 month, so many videos already published. 19,200 articles on Google Scholar, already people researching this issue, this problem. 550 million tweets already when they searched the terms, these terms, yeah. It's a fact, and the infodemic is a fact as well. Now, we can divide the misinformation into two categories. One is the well-meaning attempts, like Bosco shared, must have been some auntie or uncle or a quack doctor who has tried out a particular panacea for being healed from the pandemic, and he shares it around, yeah? So they're well-meaning attempts. It's not that people want to kill others or whatever. But then there are others who are dangerous, really dangerous fake news. It is deliberately meant for personal gain. The myths, we could classify the myths under the first group, well-meaning group. See the amount of myths. A lot of whiskey, vodka, and stuff like that, the virus can get killed, no problem. You have a lot of garlic, you hold your breath. Masks should not be used because you can get intoxicated because you're inhaling your own breath, so CO2, etc. 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 There's a whole list here. I think if I'm mistaken, about 25 of them, which are basically myths. So therefore, what are the causes of this infodemic? Remember, we are not talking of COVID-19, we're talking of the infodemic, the information pandemic. What could be one of the causes? The cause that is inherent in every human being is bias, cognitive bias, or what we would call prejudice. This is the root cause. Because when we actually react based on judgments, prejudgments, or prejudices, we are acting emotionally, not rationally. So this is a big danger for all of us when we share information. So basically, when we talk about things and we are giving only these emotional answers, we are actually committing logical fallacies. It's so important to stay rational. Keep your mind, do not let your heart decide. So the question that we could ask, each of us can ask, what are my biases with respect to individuals, groups, events? Okay, to start off. The cognitive bias in the hands of malicious actors is very, very dangerous. There's online confusion, fear, sorrow for profit and political gain out there on the internet. I'll just give you two examples. Just look at how caste discrimination seems to have come back in some places because of the coronavirus. It's a big fight, a big challenge for all of us in India to not think in terms of caste, just as we should not think in terms of only religion or culture, etc. You have here also the free vaccine only for Bihar. Why? Because they wanted votes. This is terrible. This is absolutely a manipulation of the truth, and such a brazen one at that. There's also the technological bias that we have to admit. See, much of the time we think that technology or media, what we call media, is just a vehicle for the content. And it is the content that we have to take care of. And many of us who are religious, priests, teachers, etc., we concentrate on the content. No pornography, no violence, etc., etc. But don't forget, apart from the content, which is also to be taken care of, it is the very technology that is affecting us today, because this technology allows messages to be passed on at a tremendous speed, tremendous pace, and just anybody who wants to speak up. So we are producing consumers of news. And this is a fantastic opportunity for all of us. And I think we people of the church should really get into it. You all are already using this now with the tea with the Salesians. It's a fantastic idea. So that is the good thing. The dangerous thing is anyone, including news outlets, including malicious people, can post stuff and boost fake news. Sometimes it's a matter of just checking the facts. Sometimes the consequences are much worse than at face value. By the way, I'm using McLuhan's term here. The medium is the message. He also used the term, the medium is the massage. And this is the massage, the benefits that we are getting, for better or for worse, from the media, from the technology. So another massage that we are getting here is the fact that I can, bounce back my interests. And this is done by the algorithms that know every single move we make on the internet. And accordingly, they are put together, and a profile of us is very clearly laid out by the technology itself. Not people who are looking at us, but the technology itself. We see what we like and like what we see. Algorithms give us what we like. This creates echo chambers. So we are hearing ourselves basically. And we become the center of our justification. Thus, profiles of similar preferences are bringing people with shared interests together. That is also happening now. And that is what you call filter bubbles. So it's not just I like to post and I get my likes and I want those likes. Okay. Remember, I'm not entering into the moral value of what I'm posting at the moment. I'm just talking about the technological advantages that are being offered here. On these advantages depends how we are using them. So we are naturally tending to reach out to people who are part of our bubble. And that's what you call the filter bubble. We don't feel like entering into another filter bubble that is not to our interests. Therefore, what are some of the questions that we can ask ourselves? When using social media, what kind of personality do I wish to project? That is important. We like to have a good reputation. And of course, what we need to see is, are we living up to that reputation in real life? Okay? What is my echo chamber, therefore, my likes, my interests, pet issues? Who are the people who form part of my filter bubble? Who are the major influences and contributors to my filter bubble? It's not that they are people who are influencing me for bad or good. Yeah. It's just an objective statement, question that you can ask yourself. Do I need to broaden my perspective and choices? Can I learn something beyond what I like? This is a challenge to each of us to reach out beyond our filter bubbles. Can I have another opinion about my personality, my style, my words and actions, different from the one I'm comfortable with? We tend to stay where we in our comfort zone, and that's a little dangerous sometimes. So the infodemic has its effects. It makes it hard for people, especially decision makers, health workers, to find trustworthy sources and reliable guidance whenever they need it. People may feel anxiety, depression, overwhelmed, emotionally drained by the news that we are sharing. Sometimes people are sharing news myths about how to keep the virus away, and that's the fear, because no one has come out with a very clear solution except for the masks that I mentioned at the beginning. It can affect decision-making processes when immediate answers, urgent answers are expected. And there are times when we would need help here, and it can frighten people. So people can get traumatic about the danger of not being informed well. So the question finally is this: how do we flatten the infodemic curve? Not the pandemic curve, but the infodemic curve. How does each one of us contribute to this? So the first point is avoid fake news and share information responsibly. How do I do that? Every news item that I get on my social media, etc., I have to identify the evidence underlying the information shared. Not every time it is easy. Sometimes basic things, basic information or a good sense or common sense can help us say, hey, there's something funny about this particular news that I'm getting. Respect privacy. If it is against somebody, the reputation of a person definitely is something that we must not share. If it is promoting, if it is encouraging someone, certainly we should. Confirm the source. Find out who exactly has sent this. Confirm who has shared this information, because sometimes, see, we all have an opinion of each other. There are certain people we realize are not sharing stuff responsibly. So if it's coming from them, you be doubly aware that it's coming from a non-reliable source. So it's all a question of source. Who's sending it, supplying the information. Point number two is, if the information is not confirmed, it is better not to share it. If you cannot get the evidence, if it's coming from an unreliable source, don't share it. Report harmful rumors. The WHO has a page on their website where you can report. Keep learning, engage responsibly, etc. That's what I was talking about, getting out of your bubble, also entering into action for change, transformative action. You do not have to share because others did. And this is something happening every time. Much of the time, we just share because urge to be in touch makes us share things that we are not supposed to. Just look at this beautiful chart from the WHO website. This person didn't send a rumor and see he has broken the chain. This person double checked their facts. He's broken the chain. This person got their news from trusted sources and therefore did not continue to share the misinformation. This person asked, how do you know this is true? At the end result, the consequence is so positive because they did not share. In conclusion, we can beat COVID-19 only with facts, science, and community solidarity. Disinformation is perpetuating stigma and discrimination and must not come in the way of ensuring that human rights are protected and people at risk and those marginalized have access to health and social protection services. This is a document, an appeal made by the WHO and the UNESCO, the world. Yeah. These are some sources that can be looked into if you want to promote the stopping of disinformation. And we are now very much into the algorithm culture that is already taking over Google Translate. It's working for our benefit and should work for our benefit, and we should make it work for our benefit. And let's hope that this particular sharing of mine will be able to help you in also looking at your own self to double check the type of information and news you are sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Peter. Now we have some questions. Yeah.
What is one key factor you think youth should keep in mind when accessing social media?
I've mentioned it in that list. The human person has to be respected. So the key factor is respect others, because when you're using social media, you're communicating. And don't forget that every time we communicate, we are broadcasting who we are. So from where we are coming, what are our values, etc. So the key factor is to be very respectful of others. Starting, of course, from this point, internal point of being conscious of your responsibility as a communicator for peace, for goodness, encouraging others, etc. So that I think should be the key factor. Respect people, even if that person at the particular moment is your enemy. I'm saying I'm not fully with all the politicians, for example, in our country today. But doesn't mean therefore I have to, kind of delegate them, make fun of them. If there is something to tell them seriously, I think we should. Just to give you an example, right? So they are also persons, respect them for who they are, but you don't have to always agree with everything they say. That's it.
The second question is, should communication to the masses as well as on a personal level be bound by rules, or should it be free for all? And then why do you think?
See, it has been proved that wherever communication is free in the sense not that you buy communication, but what I would say liberty of expression is free, there is less poverty. The moment you have some rules coming in, placed either by a dictator, by a autocratic government, a non-democratic structure, let us put it that way, you will have things that are hidden that never come to light. And those things could be the underbelly of that society. And who are the underbelly? The poor people have to suffer. Just give you an example. During the British Raj, when they were imperialists, no? So they were in power, controlling our country. Not many people came to know about the Bengal famine. Churchill was talking great things about the Raj, the British Raj, that means the British ownership of India, without even sending in food grain, etc., to Bengal that was really suffering a very huge famine. We came to know this only much later. Why? Because they were controlling the news. The writings of freedom fighters was banned. The topi was banned. The khadi cloth, etc., was banned. So you see how when laws oppress, people are not free to express who they are. Now, what's happening in our country, I think, is you should read what I'm saying in the light of what is happening, where most of the people who have spoken up freely are in prison and jail. This is not a best sign for development, for progress, for any society.
I agree with what Father Peter is saying, that freedom creates the best ambient for development and the growth. But I have a little problem when people take freedom to the extreme. It's like, when I say, I have absolute freedom. I have freedom whether I want to wear a mask or not. It is my freedom. Freedom, I believe, is right. But are there limits to freedom?
Okay. The key a question that yes, Riona asked me. I answered respect for every human being. I think this is a very important principle, and the golden rule says it all. The golden rule is accepted by all religions. Do unto others only what you would like them to do unto yourself. So this respect for others has to be taken into consideration, whether we are talking about freedom, whether we're talking about justice, whether we're talking about truth, whether we're talking about love, whether we're talking about a simple relationship using social media. So freedom of expression is absolutely important. And one of the key, shall I say, promoters of this is Amartya Sen, because he has studied the freedoms of the human being. So now when you start using your freedom irresponsibly means in your own cocoon where you feel this is how it should be and therefore everybody should agree with what I am saying, you're already on the wrong path. Because our freedoms have to be freedom that is shared. And that means respect for others. So that is ultimately coming to the point of ethics. We have to really respect and be responsible for the freedoms that we enjoy so that others too can have their freedom.